Have you ever stood up from your favorite chair and felt a little dizzy or lightheaded? Maybe you brushed it off as just getting older, or perhaps you thought you stood up too quickly. Well, what if I told you that this simple moment could actually be your body's way of sending you a critical warning signal that most people over 60 completely miss? You see, when we think about dehydration, most of us immediately think about feeling thirsty. That makes perfect sense, right? Our throat feels dry. We reach for a glass of water, problem solved. But here's something that might surprise you. By the time you actually feel thirsty, your body has already been running on empty for quite some time. And as we get older, this becomes an even bigger concern because our natural thirst sensation actually becomes less reliable. I'm talking to you today because dehydration is one of the most overlooked health risks for people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. It's responsible for thousands of hospital visits every year, and yet it's completely preventable when you know what to look for. In this video, we're going to uncover the number one warning sign that you're dangerously dehydrated, and I promise you, it's not what you think it is. We'll also go through 4 quick and practical fixes that you can start using today to keep yourself healthy, energized, and feeling your best. Now, before we dive in, let me share something with you. As we age, our bodies go through some natural changes that make us more vulnerable to dehydration. Our kidneys don't work quite as efficiently as they used to. We tend to have less total body water, and sometimes medications can affect how our bodies handle fluids. None of this is your fault. It's just part of the aging process. But the good news is that once you understand these changes, you can take simple steps to stay ahead of them. So, what is this mysterious number one sign that you're dangerously dehydrated? It's something called orthostatic hypotension. But don't worry about remembering that fancy medical term. What it really means is feeling dizzy, lightheaded, or unsteady when you change positions, especially when you stand up from sitting or lying down. You might feel like the room is spinning slightly, or like you need to grab onto something for support. Some people describe it as feeling like they might faint, even though they don't actually lose consciousness. Here's why this happens, and why it's so important. When you're properly hydrated, your blood volume is where it should be, and your cardiovascular system can easily adjust when you change positions. Think of it like a well-oiled machine. Everything flows smoothly. But when you're dehydrated, there's less fluid in your system, which means less blood volume. When you stand up, your heart has to work harder to pump that reduced amount of blood up to your brain against gravity. Sometimes it just can't keep up fast enough, and that's when you feel that dizziness or lightheadedness. The reason this is so dangerous is that it significantly increases your risk of falling. And we all know that falls can be serious business at our age. A simple stumble that might not have fazed us at 30 can lead to broken bones, hospital stays, and long recovery periods when we're older. But beyond the fall risk, that dizziness is your body's way of telling you that your brain isn't getting enough blood and oxygen in that moment. That's not something to ignore. Now, you might be thinking, but I do get dizzy sometimes when I stand up, and my doctor said that's normal as we get older. And yes, some degree of blood pressure change with position changes can be normal. But when it's happening regularly, when it's making you feel unsteady or unsafe, or when it's accompanied by other symptoms, that's when it becomes a red flag for dehydration. What makes this even trickier is that this warning sign often shows up before you feel thirsty. Your body's thirst mechanism, as I mentioned earlier, becomes less sensitive as we age. So you could be walking around significantly dehydrated, experiencing this dizziness, and still not feel particularly thirsty. It's like having a smoke alarm that doesn't go off until the house is already on fire. Let me paint you a picture of what this might look like in daily life. Maybe you wake up in the morning and feel fine sitting on the edge of your bed, but when you stand up to head to the bathroom, you feel a wave of dizziness and need to sit back down for a moment. Or perhaps you've been reading in your favorite chair for an hour, and when you get up to make lunch, the room seems to tilt slightly. These aren't just inconvenient moments. They're your body asking for help. The first quick fix I want to share with you is actually the simplest one, but it's also the most overlooked. Start your day with a full glass of water before you do anything else. I mean anything else. Before your coffee, before checking the news, even before you brush your teeth. Keep a glass of water on your nightstand, so it's right there when you wake up. During the night, we lose fluids through breathing and sweating, even if we don't realize it. That morning glass of water helps replenish what you've lost and gives your cardiovascular system the fluid it needs to function properly as you start moving around. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. If I drink water first thing in the morning, I'll just have to run to the bathroom more often. And you know what? You're absolutely right. And that's actually a good thing. It means your kidneys are working well, and your body is processing fluids properly. The key is to spread your water intake throughout the day rather than trying to drink large amounts all at once. This brings us to the second quick fix, which is what I call the steady sipping strategy. Instead of trying to remember to drink 8 glasses of water a day, which can feel overwhelming and often leads to drinking too much at once and not enough overall, focus on taking small, regular sips throughout the day. Get yourself a water bottle that you enjoy using, something that feels comfortable in your hands and isn't too heavy when full. Keep it within arm's reach whether you're watching television, reading, working in the garden, or doing any other activity. The beauty of steady sipping is that it keeps your hydration levels more consistent throughout the day, rather than having those peaks and valleys that can contribute to dizziness when you change positions. Think of it like keeping a steady flame under a pot rather than turning the heat on high and then off completely. Your body can process and use the water more effectively when it comes in smaller, regular amounts. Here's something that might make the steady sipping approach even easier for you. Try setting gentle reminders on your phone or watch, maybe every hour or so, just to take a few sips. You don't need to chug a whole glass, just 3 or 4 comfortable swallows. Some of my friends have found success by connecting their water breaks to things they already do regularly, like every time they check the mail or during commercial breaks while watching their favorite shows. The key is finding a rhythm that works naturally with your daily routine. Now, let's talk about our third quick fix, and this one might surprise you because it's not just about drinking more water. It's about timing your movements, especially when you're getting up from a seated or lying position. Remember how we talked about that dizziness happening when you stand up? Well, there's a simple technique that can help your cardiovascular system adjust more gradually and reduce those uncomfortable moments. I call it the pause and rise method. Instead of going directly from sitting to standing in one quick motion, try this. When you're ready to get up, first sit forward slightly and pause for about 5 seconds. This gives your body a chance to start adjusting. Then, when you do stand up, do it slowly and deliberately. Once you're upright, pause again for another few seconds before you start walking. This gives your blood pressure time to stabilize and your brain time to get the blood flow it needs. Think of it like warming up a car on a cold morning. You want to start the engine and immediately drive off at full speed, right? You'd let it warm up for a moment first. Your body works the same way. It needs a moment to adjust a new position, especially when you might be dealing with dehydration. This technique is particularly important first thing in the morning and after you've been sitting or lying down for extended periods. Maybe you've been reading for an hour or watching a movie or even just resting after a meal. Your body gets comfortable in that position and your blood settles a bit. The pause and rise method helps everything readjust smoothly. I had a neighbor, Helen, who was having dizzy spells every morning when she got out of bed. She was actually considering calling her doctor because she was worried something serious was wrong. But when she started using this technique, sitting on the edge of her bed for a few seconds before standing, then standing slowly and pausing again, those morning dizzy spells practically disappeared. Combined with drinking that glass of water first thing in the morning, she felt so much more stable and confident starting her day. The fourth quick fix is something that many people don't realize can help with hydration, and it has to do with what you're eating, not just what you're drinking. Foods can actually contribute significantly to your daily fluid intake, and some foods are particularly good at helping your body hold on to the fluids you do consume. We're talking about water-rich foods and foods that contain natural electrolytes. Watermelon is probably the most obvious example. It's literally in the name, right? But there are so many other delicious options. Cucumbers are fantastic and incredibly refreshing, especially in the summer. Oranges and grapefruits not only provide fluids, but also give you vitamin C and natural sugars that can help your body absorb and use the water more effectively. Soup is another wonderful option, particularly vegetable-based soups or broths. They provide fluids along with nutrients, and the warmth can be especially comforting. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your body doesn't just need water. It needs the right balance of electrolytes to use that water properly. Electrolytes are minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium that help your cells hold on to fluids and help your heart and muscles function properly. When you're dehydrated, you're often low on these minerals too, which is why just drinking plain water sometimes doesn't seem to help as much as you'd expect. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to buy expensive sports drinks or supplements. In fact, many of those are loaded with sugar and artificial ingredients that aren't great for us anyway. Instead, think about natural sources. A banana gives you potassium. A small handful of nuts provides magnesium. Even a light sprinkle of salt on your food can help, especially if you've been sweating or if you take medications that might affect your body's mineral balance. One of my favorite hydrating snacks is what I call a hydration plate. I'll slice up some cucumber, add a few pieces of melon or orange, maybe include some cheese for a little sodium, and enjoy it with a glass of water. It's refreshing, it tastes great, and it's giving my body fluids plus the minerals it needs to use those fluids effectively. Here's something else to keep in mind about the food connection. Some foods can actually work against your hydration efforts. I'm not saying you need to eliminate them completely, but it's good to be aware. Alcohol is probably the biggest culprit. It actually dehydrates you. Caffeinated drinks can have a mild dehydrating effect too, though this is less a concern if you're a regular coffee or tea drinker, since your body adapts somewhat. Very salty foods can make you need more fluids to balance things out, and foods high in sugar can affect how your body processes water. The good news is that you don't need to completely overhaul your diet. It's more about being mindful and making small adjustments. If you have your morning coffee, maybe follow it with a glass of water. If you're having a salty snack, balance it with some cucumber slices or watermelon. If you enjoy an occasional alcoholic beverage, make sure you're drinking extra water that day. Let me share another real-life example. My friend Robert loves his morning coffee and his evening glass of wine, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying these things in moderation. But he started noticing that he was feeling more dizzy when standing up, especially in the evenings and first thing in the morning. Instead of giving up his favorite beverages, he simply added a glass of water after his coffee and another glass of water with his dinner. Those small changes made a huge difference in how he felt, and he didn't have to sacrifice the things he enjoyed. Now, I want to talk about something that's just as important as recognizing the warning signs and knowing what to do about them, and that's understanding when dehydration might be more likely to sneak up on you. There are certain situations and times when our bodies lose fluids faster than usual, and being aware of these can help you stay one step ahead. Hot weather is the obvious one, but it's not just about those sweltering summer days. Even mildly warm weather can increase your fluid needs, especially if you're spending time outdoors or if your home doesn't have great air conditioning. Your body works harder to cool itself, and you lose more fluids through sweating, even if you don't notice yourself sweating much. I've seen people get dehydrated on pleasant 75-degree days simply because they were outside for several hours and didn't think to drink extra water. But here's something that catches a lot of people off guard. You can actually become dehydrated more easily in winter too. Indoor heating systems dry out the air, and that dry air pulls moisture from your body as you breathe. Plus, we tend to drink less in cold weather because we don't feel as thirsty. If you've ever woken up with a dry mouth during winter months, that's often a sign that the dry indoor air is affecting your hydration levels. Illness is another time when dehydration can happen quickly and be particularly dangerous. Even a simple cold or flu can increase your fluid needs because your body is working harder to fight off the infection. If you have a fever, you're losing extra fluids through sweating. If you have a stuffy nose, you might be breathing through your mouth more, which increases fluid loss. And sometimes when we don't feel well, we just don't drink as much as we normally would. Certain medications can also affect your hydration status, and this is something worth discussing with your doctor or pharmacist. Some blood pressure medications, particularly diuretics, are designed to help your body eliminate excess fluid, but they can sometimes work a little too well. Some medications for diabetes can affect how your kidneys handle fluids. Even some over-the-counter medications like antihistamines can have mild dehydrating effects. I'm not suggesting you should stop taking prescribed medications. Absolutely not. But it's worth having a conversation with your healthcare provider about whether any of your medications might be affecting your hydration and whether you should be taking any special precautions. Here's a practical tip that can help you monitor your hydration levels day by day, and it's something you can do without any special equipment. Pay attention to the color of your urine. I know this might seem a bit awkward to talk about, but it's actually one of the most reliable indicators of how well hydrated you are. When you're properly hydrated, your urine should be pale yellow, almost like the color of lemonade. If it's dark yellow or amber colored, that's a sign you need more fluids. If it's completely clear, you might actually be drinking too much water too quickly. This urine color check is particularly helpful because it gives you feedback throughout the day about how you're doing with your hydration efforts. You might notice that first thing in the morning, it's a bit darker because you haven't had fluids overnight, and that's normal. But as you implement these strategies we talked about, the morning glass of water, the steady sipping, the hydrating foods, you should see it become that pale yellow color and stay there throughout the day. Another thing to keep in mind is that some vitamins and medications can change the color of your urine. So don't panic if you're taking B vitamins and your urine is bright yellow. That's just the excess vitamin being eliminated and doesn't necessarily mean you're dehydrated. Let's also talk about what to do if you realize you've let yourself get quite dehydrated. Maybe you've been having those dizzy spells for a few days, or you're noticing that dark urine color, or you just generally feel more tired and sluggish than usual. The temptation might be to drink a lot of water all at once, but that's actually not the most effective approach and can sometimes make you feel worse. Instead, focus on steady rehydration over several hours. Drink a glass of water, then wait 15 to 20 minutes and have another one. Include some of those hydrating foods we talked about, or add a pinch of salt to your water, or have some juice diluted with water to help replace electrolytes. The goal is to gradually bring your fluid levels back up rather than overwhelming your system all at once. If you're experiencing severe dizziness, confusion, rapid heartbeat, or you feel faint, those could be signs of serious dehydration that needs medical attention. Don't hesitate to call your doctor or even go to urgent care if you're concerned. It's always better to be safe when it comes to your health. I want you to remember that staying properly hydrated isn't about perfection. It's about awareness and making small, consistent improvements. Some days you'll do better than others, and that's completely normal and okay. The key is recognizing those warning signs, like that dizziness when you stand up, and having practical strategies to address them. These 4 quick fixes we've covered: starting your day with water, steady sipping throughout the day, using the pause and rise technique when changing positions, and including hydrating foods in your diet. They're not complicated or expensive. They're simple adjustments that can make a real difference in how you feel and how safely you move through your daily activities. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Have you experienced that dizziness when standing up? Did you realize it might be related to dehydration? And if you try any of these strategies, please let me know how they work for you. Sometimes the best tips come from people sharing their own experiences and what worked in their daily lives. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps other people discover this content. And proper hydration is something that can benefit everyone, especially those of us who are navigating the changes that come with getting older. And if you'd like to see more videos about staying healthy, energized, and independent as we age, please subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell so you won't miss any new content. Remember, small changes really can make a big difference in your health and happiness. You don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. Just pick 1 or 2 of these strategies that feel most manageable for you right now and give them a try. Your body will thank you for it, and you might be surprised at how much more energy and stability you feel in just a few days. Here's to staying hydrated, staying safe, and living your best life at any age. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.